Hello, and welcome to Success Stories with Key, where you get a chance to see success from the eyes of someone who is achieving success. What is success? Success means different things to different people. I'm interested in hearing from these people and finding out about their achievements, their challenges, and their keys to success. This week, I have the honor of speaking to Natasha Blackman. Hello, Tash. Welcome to Success Stories with Key.
Thank you for having me.
Lovely to have you here. Tash is a senior HR professional with over 15 years of global experience with technology, professional services, and media organizations. When she's not empowering employee experiences and driving business growth, she likes baking, boxing, and blogging. And you can see more at her blog at eatlovego.com. So, Tash, tell us about yourself. Who is the real Tash?
The real Tash, I've discovered, is pretty complex, and it is what you see is what you get. So I do pride myself on being quite an authentic person, but complex in the way that I fly by the seat of my pants most days. So that might lend itself to later comments later on.
So let's jump straight into it. What is your proudest achievement?
When I was thinking about this earlier this week, it made me think, are you thinking about it from a personal or a professional perspective? And as I ruminated on my thoughts, like most things, it's all in one the same. So, when you talk about leadership, for example, I don't think about having one hat here and one hat there. It's all in one. So if I reflect on then what is my proudest achievement, there's, I guess, two sides of that. So first off, I would say my proudest achievement are my two kids. If I start from that personal perspective, so I've got a 12-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl, and yeah, I think I talk to them because they are a big part of my career. So, when you start out and then, was fortunate to have kids, and then weaving your career in and out of your parental leave, I think is an achievement to kind of if you look back over the last 12 years and then what I've achieved over that time, which is why I mentioned the kids. The other part I would say is my resilience. And that resilience, I think, lends itself to every achievement that I have had. So I wouldn't call out that there's one particular achievement that I have that I want to talk to today, but it would be, how do you build resilience through the setbacks, and whether that is taking the time out to have the kids, because you are taking a pause in your career, or it's being confronted with something that you didn't plan for. How do you build resilience through that? And I think where I am today versus where I was when I left high school, my resilience cup is much more full than what it was.
Amazing. So are you able to share some of these experiences that has built this resilience?
Very early on in my career, I started out at Census, which is a part of Telstra, and started as in the recruitment team, and then went into HR advisory from there. I was pregnant with my first child at the time at Census, and took my parental leave, and had it in my mind that I was coming back, was going to talk to my manager about coming back part-time and then transitioning back to a full-time capacity, and have that slow transition back, because I was predicting that it was going to be a bit of a sharp contrast from being an at-home parent and coming back into the workforce. But when I was on parental leave, and I remember I was in Hong Kong airport and I was checking Messenger at that time, Hotmail was still a big thing back then. I remember seeing a message from my manager to give me a call, and at the same time my husband was looking at Sydney Morning Herald and saying, oh my gosh, did you see Census has made a whole heap of redundancies? Putting two and two together, little did I know, and out of my control, my role was actually made redundant. And so I think back to that time, and I felt like the rug was completely stripped out from under me. But what it meant was that I had to quickly focus on what I needed to do next and how I was going to get back into the market. And that's where I actually stepped into my career in media.
Wow, that's amazing. So when it came to failure, what did you learn?
Yeah, I would say within failures, I think one of the keys to success or keys to failure is your ability to find your tribe. So I think the tribe is an important concept in that it's a group of people, and it could be usually is a diverse group of people. It could be some people from your family, it could be close friends, it could be some work colleagues, a mentor, a coach, and it's I say diverse because it is from across many sections of your life, but find that tribe, and the tribe can change as you grow in your career as well. But they are the people who are going to lift you up, support you, challenge you, say no to you, say yes to you, but really have your back. And having that tribe, whether you talk about it in it takes a village to get to success, or to have those people in those times of need, I think they are crucial to how we continue to grow as in our communities, in our social aspects, to deliver on what we're here to do.
Wow, that's a really good insight. Any other notable challenges?
Yeah, some of the other challenges I would say, and I've touched a little bit on relationships. So relationships, building relationships, sustaining relationships, leveraging what you need to out of a good business relationship. I would say as my roles have gotten more and more senior, as you're working with more senior executives, but also more senior HR professionals, I think some of the challenges that I've come across is that you're not going to be what you need for everyone. Okay, so I think as from a lens of diversity, I think diversity is a key to success. However, I think more and more over the last few years, I've come to terms with the fact that I'm not going to be what my cup of tea is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And so it's being comfortable with that. How do you get comfortable, what I call comfortable with the uncomfortable, and then work your way through that. And what I mean by that is, we're not designed to get along with everyone. We need to, in my role is to challenge and support. My role is to find the holes where needed and provide that solution, or challenge a business decision if it's not aligned with strategy or aligned with culture.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. Comfortable with the uncomfortable. So, the $64,000 question. How do you define success?
This has been a topic of conversation in my house for the last few weeks, Keith. So I want to thank you for putting that into my house and the conversations that have led from there. Because I think for me personally, success isn't about a number, and success isn't about the goals. So success is something that for me is holistic, and it's something that is constant to feel every day. Because if I'm just resting my success solely on one goal, or solely on getting to a number, that for me isn't, I'm not being true to myself. So let me unpack that a little bit for you. Early on in my career, I knew I wanted to work with people. I actually, I've always been in kind of retail roles, or then I actually became a Kentucky tour guide, but that's a completely different story. And then I went into HR, which is very much being in people. If you don't like working with people for people or serving people, I don't think HR really is the business partner role isn't the right role for you. When I talk about serving people, that's servant leadership. That's a big part of, my success. So how do you bring people on the journey? How do you serve others' needs? Putting theirs before yours. It's a big part, the characteristic of leadership. Success as well is, for me, enjoying those moments. So about 4 months ago, again, my role was made redundant. I heard a statistic early on when I back in Easter, when my role was made redundant, that the average person will get made redundant, their role will get made redundant 3 times in their career life. I'm already at 2, so I think I'm probably above the average. But a girlfriend actually shared quite early on this concept of red threads. I don't know if you've heard about red threads before, but it was something that Marcus Buckingham created and has wrote a lot about, either on LinkedIn or he's wrote a book about it actually, but this concept of red threads. And he actually had done a podcast, and I listened to that. And as I listened to it, I thought, oh my gosh, this is really resonating with me, this whole concept of red threads. And the red threads is about finding your red threads. Again, they're individual to every person, but how do you find the things that actually give you energy, bring you joy, and you gets you into that zone. And that zone I equate with success. So when you need to do, there probably would be any number of things that give a person those red threads, and it's about identifying those as a pathway to your success. So one of the exercises he encourages you to do is over a week, write down the things where it makes you feel good. It could be exercising, it could be baking for me, it could be boxing, or it could be gardening, which is definitely not a red thread. So find those things that give you the red thread, take note of those, and lean more into those. The red thread story is also, it also speaks against this whole notion of balance. So work-life balance. I think balance is not crucial to success, but it's more about leaning into the things that bring you that joy and energy and that flow. And that's what will drive you to success. So it's a combination of, for me, the success, this is a very long answer to what is the definition of success, but it's a combination of finding those red threads, making those key decisions and prioritizing in order to deliver on those experiences that bring you the energy to keep that cycle going.
I think that's an amazing answer.
Oh, I got a lot out of that.
So what I understand as being your keys to success is being decisive in times of challenge, making a decision and following it through. Your second key to success is embracing diversity and being comfortable with the uncomfortable. Another key is to find your tribe, those people who will have your back. And the last key to success is to identify those red threads, to identify the things that bring you energy and joy and living in that zone.
Yep, that's right.
So my last question for today is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I think advice to younger self, and I only recently, when I say recent, I would say in the last 5 years. So in the last 5 years, I've been really conscious and aware of my values, and there's thousands of values exercises you can do online. Brené Brown does a really good one, but it's a short exercise which I think drives a lot of impact. It's about determining what are your values, and they should have some overlap with the organizational values that, wherever you work. Otherwise, there's going to be a culturally jarring effect. But values for me guide my decisions. And when I thought about success as well, I realized that the 3 core values that I have, which are joy, impact, and courage, are very much linked to that success. So when I think about success, the red threads, they bring me the joy, they give me that energy, they fuel that cycle of that continuum that we're on. Gratitude, I practice a lot of gratitude, both being self-aware of what good, there's a lot of good in life at the moment. There's also, people can get stuck in that negativity, but if we start with gratitude, then I think we're off to a good place. I think there's the piece around being present and giving back lies within that gratitude piece, and that's linked to impact, which is another one of my values. And then this whole piece around getting comfortable with the uncomfortable lends to that courage. How do you get out of that piece where we feel uncomfortable, where we feel anxious or nervous about something? I think that piece around having courage, learning and reflecting on what is driving you, what's pulling you back, and how do you build that change, resilience, will ultimately come from that place of courage. So values driven, I think, helps in so many different ways, and I think that would be my advice to my younger self, is to find what your values are, to guide those decisions so that you can be true to yourself and authentic in reaching your success.
Amazing. Such good stuff, Tash. There's so much good stuff in this interview. I really appreciate it. I've learned a lot about you, of course, but also about life and success in general. And that's really, really amazing. I appreciate it. If you've found this useful, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Follow Key to Success so you can benefit from my learnings as I undertake my own journey to success.